All right, the last thing I'm going to show you guys is something called Puppet Warp. And basically, what this allows you to do is to take any kind of static image and for you to animate it as if it had parts. Okay. So I have this picture of a crab here, okay, that I brought in. And, let's at the moment, if I was to try to move this crab, I move the entire crab. Or if I was trying to rotate, I rotate the entire crab from its center point here. But what if I just wanted to maybe animate the claws or the feet, right? Currently, there's not really a way to do that. And what After Effects has is something called kind of puppet warp. And the way it kind of works is it's a little bit kind of like putting a push pin. Okay. And so the idea here is like, I don't know if you've ever seen like a kind of, push pin puppetry, but the idea is it's like, okay, you can this what you can do is like put a push pin. This is like made of paper and like move the push pin, which would move the piece of paper. So if I like took this, I could move this over here and that leg would move up or this arm would move down. That's kind of what we're gonna do, but really we're gonna be doing it in digitally, basically. Okay. So I have this object here, and what I'm gonna do is oops. What I'm gonna do is mess up. Now I'm gonna close this. With the layers selected, what I'm going to do is click on this thing up here called kind of looks like a push pin, and it's called the push pin tool. And what you want to do is you want to place these pins, which are going to come across as little yellow circles, where you want major aspects of your character to move. So like, I want to move this part. So I kind of have one here that's going to go up to, so you're kind of using these push pins as a way to, affect your object. And when you do this, you can see how it's basically applying something called an effect called Puppet Warp under my effects. These are each of the pins. If you want to remove a pin, you can actually literally delete it. So for instance, if I accidentally made a pin, I don't know, I guess you can't do it unless you're on the actual object. But let's say I wanted to get rid of that one. That's pin 8. I can actually just highlight it here under deform and delete it. But the point of this is once you have a pin, this allows you to manipulate your static image. So what I'm going to do is switch over to our normal selection tool. And you can see that I can highlight these pins and literally just kind of like move them around. And you can see that they kind of move based off of where my other pins are located. See how it kind of, plays around there. So, you got to be careful with this. It's not perfect by any stretch. I'm actually going to put on what's called the mesh here. And you can kind of see the mesh going here. Oops. This is the literal mesh that's going around my object. I don't know if you can turn that off. But anyway, the reason why I might want to do this is like, all right, I want to take this and move it. So I'm going to highlight this. Let's hit P. Or actually, I'm going to start here. Let's play around with my object. All right. All right. Here's my, I'm gonna click on these and move them to where I want. Under pin type, you can set selection. And I'm just gonna set the position points here. And then I'm gonna move forward 2 seconds, highlight, and move this in. And you can see the result is taking my 2D object and making some simple, movements, okay? So, if you have a drawing that you want to animate, this might be a nice, simple, kind of easy way to do it. Um, you know, Instead of having to necessarily take the object and break it into parts, subparts, and sort of recombine them, this might be a good way to do it. So, you can try that out. So I'm going to have this come back. Once you've set the position property, you know, it's just like any, it's just once it's been keyframed, you're automatically keyframing it. All right, not bad. All right, when you guys try that out, that would be exercise 13, Puppet War.